Hey everybody, what is up? Welcome back to Final Trade. We have the 100-day set box update for Streets of New Capenna, where we fill in data from 50 days post-release to 100 days post-release, and we can see this very, very sad flattening line of reducing sales. The price has come way down into this very nice range of this morning, about $98, which if you're a small card store going forward, you may be paying more than $98 wholesale for a set box. And so if you're still looking for set boxes of New Capenna to put into your position, then today at this price, that's pretty good. I expect we'll have a couple more months of just kind of general weakness in the market. I don't expect to see another huge leg downwards. But even if I'm wrong and we do have some more downward movement, I don't really expect it to move down much from here because, again, this is already in the territory of being sold at a loss after you factor in market fees and shipping. And so $98, again, a good price. Now, in the last 50 days, this has sold 174 boxes on TCG Player, which on average is about 3.5 boxes per day. It really is a low seller, and there's something interesting to put in here, which is if we go ahead and plot Kamigawa Neon Dynasty as the red line and Baldur's Gate as the yellow, then what we see is just how much worse Streets of New Capenna is selling, even compared to Baldur's Gate set boxes. And remember, everything you read, Baldur's Gate is terrible. It's all going beyond zero. And we especially hate the set boxes because they're full of slots that are curated with junk cards that aren't worth anything. And yeah, okay. I mean, some of those things are objectively true. I think the rhetoric about it being a terrible set is a little hyperbolic. But certainly some of those curated slots have very little to no value. And it's problematic for the EV of the boxes, but regardless of that, it's selling really well compared to Streets of New Capenna. New Capenna just is not holding a candle, and I kind of expect that to continue. It really feels like the problem with New Capenna is where it was released in the wake of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty that was so popular, so well received, and had such an exciting chase for the Neon Ink cards, and then New Capenna comes out, and almost immediately the hype over Commander Legends Baldur's Gate starts accelerating and takes the spotlight away. People were saving up their money for that and for Double Masters 2022 to follow. And then by the time people got over the rug pull of Baldur's Gate, they were spending their money on Double Masters 2022, and they just haven't looked back at Streets of New Capenna yet. It really feels like that's the good explanation because EV-wise, when you look at the estimated value of draft booster boxes, it's about $68. It's exactly in line with Zendikar Rising and Kaldheim and Strixhaven and Midnight Hunt. It's not as bad as Crimson Vow. It's not as good as Kamigawa, but, it's in line with a lot of these recent standard sets, and there's nothing about it that would make me think that this really deserves to be selling so low, except as a consequence of where it was released and the things that happened with Baldur's Gate and Double Masters 2022 around it. So keep in mind that this is going to be a standard legal product for another 13 months. There's a lot of time, and I don't think the price is going much lower. But again, I think the market's going to remain squishy for a few more months at least, and we can reevaluate that estimate in a couple months' time. Maybe we'll be ready to turn up by then, or maybe we'll decide it's got a couple more months of squishiness coming after that. But as of this morning, I would say we probably have 2 or 3 months before we really see big rallies and prices going up. I think the consumer is really going to be the issue. Supplies of boxes have tightened up. Card stores have shored up their balance sheets and are mostly averting disaster now, but the consumer is the one still being squeezed, the person who actually has to open their wallet and buy all this stuff. So beyond all of that, I think it's important to go back over this once in a while. These data come out at TCG Player. I just steal them off of the product pages for the boxes and for the cases of each product, and then I built a tool that analyzes the data that puts it into a format so I can read it out here and show it to you. But, obviously when I just take data off of TCG Player, I don't get data from European sales. I don't get data from Asian sales. I don't get a lot of foreign language product data. I don't get data from card store sales. I don't get data from other marketplaces in the US like eBay and Channel Fireball. And, there are a lot of deficiencies with this data, but that doesn't mean we can't learn from it. And there was a commenter last week who basically kind of implied that because I'm only looking at TCG player, there's just no use to this data. And I disagree with that. If you take the pulse of TCG player every month or every 50 days like this, or every 30 days like I do with collector boxes, or whatever interval we're doing it in, as long as we're taking that same pulse every time, we can get some useful comparative data to see what is happening over time. No, we can't measure things like how many total boxes were sold in North America. Well, no one can measure that. I would claim even WotC can't really measure that. They only know how many they sold into the distribution system in North America, but they don't know where those boxes go afterwards. They don't know how many are still sitting at distributors. They don't know how many are sitting in the back room of card stores. They don't know how many are sitting in investors' closets waiting to be sold short term or medium term or long term. They don't know how many are being opened for singles to be sold into the market, and they don't know how many are being opened to go into collections and decks and for deck building and other things. And so even WotC doesn't really have the level of granularity that any of us would like to have in these kind of data. But even with a data source so limited as just TCG player, we can find important correlations. We can find important trends over time. We can find important comparisons between expansions. So understand that there is value in it, in just measuring TCG player. We just need to understand what the limitations are. And certainly if we were going to try to do something like estimate how many boxes were printed, no, this would not be good data for trying to estimate that. The error bar would be so huge that we would have no confidence in our final answer. But when we're looking at something like how did box sales in the first 50 days post-release do compared to the second 50 days post-release, well, then just having TCG player data is pretty good. So keep that in mind. I hope that's useful to you guys. Let me know if you have a lot of heartburn about that. Maybe I can help you out and understand it better. But otherwise, let me know what you think about this. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join me on Final Trade and join the Patreon. Thanks a lot, everyone.